Okay, what do we got here? Steve Areno, Virginia, line 3. Steve, you're live.
Hi, John. Happy Monday. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
And also, thank you for having this interview with Jonathan Pollard. I appreciate that. It's been a long time since, there's so many people who don't know what the whole issue was about, and there's a lot of don't read what Wikipedia has to say. That's for sure. But first, I want to tell you something. You know, you were talking with John in New Jersey about the issue of these organized protests, and there's grassroots movements, and then there's the astroturfers, and Pam Bondi should be bringing out the RICO statute against any of these organizations, whoever's leading them, and charge them and take their, seize their bank accounts, take their money, and bring them out in public and expose them for what they are, because they're trying to destroy the country. It's not just that they have a difference of, policy opinion. But to the greater point of the whole immigration thing, or illegal immigration, I mean, I've always called it economic terrorism. This is Democrats bringing people into the country to destroy it from the inside. And when it comes to that, when's the last time you heard anybody talk about how wonderful E-Verify works? I mean, it just, no, is anybody even using it like they're supposed to, the employers? When Reagan, and I disagreed with what he did in giving amnesty to people who were in the country illegally at the time, but I always thought if he had done it the right way, he would have said, okay, I'm going to give amnesty to all the people who are here illegally, but let the Democrats know that the amnesty that they're getting will be that they never are allowed to vote. They are never allowed to access any social services. They have to pay their own way, and they have no say in who is going to be in an elected office. And that would make the Democrats realize that, hey, we don't care about these people. Why are we doing anything to bring them in the country? They're not going to do us any good. And that would end the whole issue of,
No, it wouldn't, because they'll just have them vote illegally. So good plan, not workable. Love your passion, Steve, but they vote illegally now, right? You go to Minnesota, you don't need anything. I live in Washington, D.C. There's municipal elections coming up, council, mayor, council at large, the whole thing. Guess who can vote? Anybody. You just walk in and vote. You can be the deputy secretary at the Iranian embassy trying to kill Americans, and you can walk in and vote. So they'll just pass laws and make it legal. And so it's, a good idea, but not workable until you get to the point where you have to prove that you're a citizen and you have a valid ID. This vote fraud on the ground, this is how they win. The mail-in voters and everything else. They got to fix it. Are they going to fix it in the short term? No. So in the short term, we got to play their game. I appreciate your passion, though. I really do.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the issue of voting and illegal voting and needing to be able to document your status as an American, states will say, oh, well, we have the right to let whoever vote, in cities like New York City, they let whoever vote. And the thing is that when it comes to federal elections, well, you have to live up to federal standards. And so if we have federal standards, that say you have to have photo ID, then there couldn't be, theoretically, of course, there's always going to be people who are going to be trying to get away with it. But if anybody knew who was voting illegally that they would spend a lot of time in jail or immediately be deported, maybe it would cut down on the incentive for them to take the $10, the pack of smokes, and the bus ride to the polling station.
Well, on that, Steve, you're 100% right. We have to do something about it. If there were only legal people voting in America and there was no vote fraud and ballot harvesting, the Democrats would never win an election. Never, because they don't have the votes. So they have to cheat and steal, and they have to do it on the ground, and they have to harvest votes and do all the things they do with their, Mondami flash mob army out there. It's going to be the same thing in Washington, D.C. All right, let's skip the break here. We'll go to Greg in Georgia, line 1. Greg, you're live.
Hey, John. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Zeb, who's mucking the stalls of 3 thoroughbreds and 1 Welsh pony in this freezing cold.
Where?
Down here, down in Georgia.
What area?
Ball ground.
Oh yeah, I know where ball
it's
ground is.
north.
So is she? Those the thoroughbreds retired because there's no pari-mutuel racing in Georgia, or they? What are they?
Well, she buys them off the track up in like Illinois, and then she trains them to be 3-day eventing horses.
Right. So she gets.
So if they don't,
she buys basically retired thoroughbreds that are done racing, and then retrains them to do what?
They're not retired. They're like 4 years old. If they don't do well on the track, they get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, they're retired from racing for money. I mean, they're retired from the overnight events or whatever. They're not lame. They're retired is what we call in the business, retired from racing, and then they go on to a second life.
Yeah, they've been fired. Yeah.
Right. Well, they just let's say they've been waived. They've been released. Designated for assignment. But look, there's a great market for racehorses that can no longer compete in that venue, and then they go to different places and get trained to do different things, and they get a good life.
Yeah, they do the 3-day eventing where the first day is dressage, the second day is cross country, and the third day is stadium jumping.
That's great. Well, shout out to your wife, Zeb, in the freezing cold. I mean, when I raced the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania circuit back in the day, so in the winter, it was so because you'd be out there now. It would be dark. You'd be out there at 6 a.m. working them out because I trained standardbreds, and so they have to jog or train or whatever. And it would be 0 degrees, and you'd be all bundled up with your suit on. And we used to have to buy gloves with batteries in them. And even that, after 5 miles, you'd come in and you'd have to go in a stall where you had a heater sitting on a chair just to get your fingers to be mobile. I mean, it was brutal. But anyway, go ahead.
So did you hear the eyewitness account from one of the security guys that was on the ground in Venezuela? Did you hear the eyewitness account of that?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
So he was saying that when our forces came in, that there was only first of all, the drones came in. He said there was tons of drones came in and overwhelmed everything, shut everything down, all their electronics. And then he said these helicopters came in, but there was only a couple. And it was like he said maybe 20 operators got out of these helicopters, and they were firing with such with such overwhelming force. He said it was like they were each guy was expending like 300 rounds a minute, and there was like only 20 of them, and they killed over 300 Cubans. And they're thinking that it was like they have some kind of artificial intelligence system where these guys are maybe using it. They're interacting with artificial intelligence, and they're able to act like one guy can act like an entire SEAL team.
Well, I think what they were saying is the weaponry that we had was so superior to what the Cubans had. It was so advanced and so big and so overwhelming that I'm not sure it was artificial intelligence. It was somebody in there shooting a gun, but they were just, the weaponry was so superior to what they had. The other thing he said, which was interesting, is they unleashed this noise, this screeching noise. He said where your ears were bleeding and you couldn't function. And of course, our troops had the ear protectors on, so it didn't affect them. So that was the other thing that happened. So they were immobilized because of this loud this loud booming that went on, that you couldn't concentrate. Like it was affecting your brain. It was so loud. And he said they had to deal with that, and they were just no match and got overwhelmed. And basically, the other thing he said is it was evident that the U.S. weaponry and sophistication has gotten so advanced. Now, maybe if you're dealing with, the CCP or something, or the People's Republic Army in China, it might be on a par. But when you're now dealing with, the Cuban resistance, I mean, they just don't have the technology. And so I think that was the thing I got out of it.
I bet Putin is saying, why didn't I just go kidnap Zelensky?
Well, he to start a World War III. You can't do that. I don't know really what's going to happen there. We just keep, the Europeans want to keep funding them and fund this war into perpetuity. It's up to them. I mean, they're buying the equipment from us. We're not spending a dime. We're making the armaments, and the EU's buying it. So, hope things work out. I've lost total interest in that. I hope the killing stops, but Trump has done all he can do. Thank you, though. Thank you, Greg, in Georgia. And shout out to your wife, Zeb, going out there mucking stalls. And, there's teaches you a lot in life. When I first got in the business, the first job I had, I got $10 a day, and it was on the weekends. I was in college or high school at the time, and it was on the weekends. I got $10 a day, and my job was I'd have to muck all the stalls because they would give people off on Sunday. So I do some work, clean some stalls on Saturday, but Sunday I had to clean them all. There was like 50 of them, and I decided that I would be the best stall cleaner in the history of the earth. I mean, my stalls, when you walked in there on Sunday afternoon, they were pristine. I was the best. And you got to take pride in your work. You might be at the bottom of the barrel, but you got to work your way up. And whatever that first bottom job is, you be the best at it that you can. The grooms would come in on Monday and tell me they never seen a stall cleaned better than that in their life. That's what you got to do. Shout out to Zeb. Thank you, Greg. Rob, New York, line 4. Rob, you're live.
Good morning, John.
What's up?
Great callers. Great callers. Great analysis by you in the beginning on the Mandami Army. I keep trying to tell that to my folks, my friends here in New York, and beyond, because the Mandami Army can be replicated and is being replicated in other states. And Republicans are, oh no, we have to protect the filibuster, or we got to go fight podcasters and clickbaiters instead of looking what's really going on. I do agree with one of your callers. I don't know if it was John or someone else. The reason why why a lot of folks on the left are not losing it. Well, they're upset over what happened in Minneapolis, but not as bad as they normally are, is because they do see that this is organized. They do see that this has gone so far. And kudos to DHS for getting that video out there quickly, not just the body cam video from the ICE agent, but they also released Good's wife's cell phone. You see them taunting them. I'm not an attorney, but I think the wife can probably be prosecuted as an accessory for murder for encouraging her wife to do something. It's pretty clear what she said. That's for the courts to figure out.
He said, run him over. He said, run him over.
Yeah.
Run him over. I mean, this is what you're dealing with here. They want to kill you, and you're supposed to let them kill you. Like, I want to kill you. Okay, well, run me over so I can spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair. Screw you.
And one last point on this too, and this is something that I was thinking as I was on hold. Republicans, including Trump, have been debanked, deplatformed, and debanked. Why aren't we doing that right now to who's funding all these groups? They know where the money's coming from.
You got to look. This is no time. There is no way back here. This is a great call, Rob. Thank you. Thank you. And stay on the line. But this is great. There's no way back. You have to go forward. You either crush this or you lose. There's no backing off and worrying about optics and all this baloney. You have to crush them. And part of it is debank. If you find out who is funding these people, funding potential terrorism, you debank every freaking one of them and freeze their accounts. And then let a judge do it and then appeal it. I mean, you got to fight it. Instead of, worrying about, the optics aren't good. The optics of running over our law enforcement people might not be good either. I mean, that guy could have been in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I mean, we have got to stop. We're afraid. The fear that we have, what are we afraid of? Now you got the clickbaiters and the podcasters blasting Trump on Iran. Trump wants the Ayatollahs out. Is that a good thing for us or not? Of course, it's a great thing. So I'm in favor of the president's rhetoric. I hope the Ayatollah falls. I hope there's a revolution. I hope they go, and I hope they replace it with something better. The same thing with Cuba, Colombia, the whole bunch of them. Let them all fall. That's in our best interest. That is America first. This whole idea that, optics. No, let them run. You had the optics of looting last time, and we wouldn't even take advantage of it. We were so afraid. Fear cripples your ability to act. You freeze. You need fearless people doing fearless things. Because there's no way back here. There's no turning back. They made us go down this road. You got to finish the job or you're going to lose. Does that make sense, Rob?
100%.
What do you think? Hold the music a second. What do you think we ought to do, Rob?
Well, I'm going to tell you what we ought to do. We ought to debank, deplatform if we can find it there, find where the money's coming from. I agree with you. Forget the optics right now. That ship has sailed. You either push back or we lose the country. We lose the damn country. We can't get the Senate to act. The Senate won't confirm all of Trump's nominees. They won't get rid of the filibuster. So we got to play with the hand that we're dealt. And the hand that we're dealt is to work through these other agencies. There's enormous power. Scott Bessent has enormous power at IRS and Treasury to go after the fraud. Enormous amounts of power, including legal power, too. You have the IRS tax courts.
Rob, we're fighting the same people who wanted to make a bank report your financial activity if you sent your son or daughter $600 for Christmas. That's what we're dealing with here, right? This is what they actually proposed. Why did they do that? They wanted to track where MAGA's money was going. That's all. It's had nothing to do with the drug trade. I mean, $600 is not a drug trade. Janet Yellen went to Congress, wanted the banks to report back to the Federal Reserve a $600 or more transaction, a check. Why? What do you think?
It's control, like we just said. I mean, it's the same reason why under Obama, they had Lois Lerner at the IRS. They were messing with the 501c3s or 501c4s, however they were organized. They were going after people's lawful rights to form groups.
Bingo. I mean, you have
These
the whole
weren't
thing figured
terrorist
out.
groups.
See, Rob, you know what? Our listeners know more than 90% of the people in media. I mean, I just got to tell you that. You guys, you, John, Greg, other callers, our other callers earlier today, Tony, Steve, you guys know more than 90% of these clowns I engage in the media on a daily basis at the White House. You know more because you're out there living your life. You're not some bubble. You guys get it. And so I want to thank you for the call. Quick word from our sponsors. John, Rob, have a good day. Thank all of our callers. Quick word from our sponsors, and I'll be right back. We got a great show today. Plus, phone lines open. Hey, you know what? Just because it's after 7 o'clock doesn't mean you can't call. 888-480-JOHN. Roll it. 888-480-5646.